don't have a time management issue, you have a money issue. And you talk about bringing you to your knees. I mean, you've got a kid in private school, you're driving a 430S Mercedes, you have the marriage that everybody wants, so I thought, big house. It's a big fat lie. And so that coaching experience changed my life forever. And so that's why I do what I do. If one person can step into your life and say, hey, what you think is the problem from the outside, looking in, it's not, and it can really make somebody's life 100% better, because I believe my life is 100% better, then that's what I want to spend the rest of my days doing. I tell my students, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. And that's why I coach.
Welcome to the Impact Effect Podcast. My name is Jim Morris, your host, and we have another amazing guest in the house, Kendra Cooke. And ooh, are we going to get into it today? So please help me welcome Kendra Cooke to the Impact Effect Podcast.
Thank you, Jim.
Let's go. This is going to be a good one. As always, we ask every guest the same exact question to kick things off. What is the most impactful moment in your life that changed everything for the future?
So I'm going to answer it two-part because I have to set the preface it. A coach. That was the game changer for me. But not so much just having a coach. The most important thing I learned from the coach was know your numbers. I'm so shocked when I talk to people like, do you know your numbers? And they're like, what numbers are that? Yeah, I got my license in this year, or I got married in this year. We're not talking about those numbers. We got to track leads. We got to track conversion. The money. Nobody tracks their money anymore. They're like, oh, I just do it on my app. So I would tell you, it started with coaching, and they revealed to me that I did not know my numbers, which led me to the truth of being one bad month away from bankruptcy when I was making nearly 7 figures running a business, netting 7 figures running a business, and had no money.
7 figures net, 1 month away from bankruptcy. How did that feel in that moment?
Horrible, because I was the only one that knew it. I was the one in charge of the family books and making the money, and I wasn't sharing that. But quite honestly, Jim, I didn't know. I didn't know that I was one bad month away from bankruptcy because I had checks and I had a credit card, and the bills would come in and I would pay them. And then it was just chasing. I was spending really good money on really bad tactics. And so I just kept saying, yes, I'll do a billboard. Oh, yes, I'll do 2. Oh, yes, I'll have a moving truck. Sure, I'll do the shopping carts. And it just spiraled into $40,000+ a month in expenses before I made a penny.
$40,000 in expenses. Where were most of them coming? Like marketing and just like, you're a very intelligent woman. You know business very well. Clearly, you're netting 7 figures. Like, where was that money going?
To all of those things. Billboard's $3,000 a month, and then one's not enough, so you do 2, and then you buy a moving truck. $1,000 a month payment, and then shopping carts, $10,000 a year, and then, it just keeps going. You hire assistants, they leave, you hire more assistants. You're, just chasing business. But I sponsored every basketball team and every football team in the county, so my sign could be on the fence. Nobody's calling me off of those signs. The pharmacy bags in the grocery store pharmacies had my face on it. Like, I cannot make this stuff up, okay? 4,000 pieces of mail going out a month. I mean, it just kept saying yes. I just kept saying yes. And before you know it, it was really closer to $50,000 a month going out.
And that coach came to you and just said, hey, we got to get this under wraps. Like, tell it, give me the juice.
I'll give you the
details.
Juice. So I, because I didn't know how to hire and I didn't know how to train, so I was making bad hires and then they would leave. And so I was drowning. I wasn't tracking where my leads were coming from. So I think all this money I'm spending is making me rich. I'm like, everybody's seeing my face everywhere and they're calling me. And, I'm closing around 200 deals a year at that time. first-time starter homes in Smyrna, by the way. And I was driving home one day, and I literally had been in a battle with my husband for months because every time I came home, I would go to my home office and I needed to fax, okay, I'm telling my age, fax one more contract, or I needed to type one more thing. And I would come out 3 hours later and everybody would be in bed. I was spending no time at home. So we had been having several meetings, family meetings, about you got to figure it out or this is not going to work. And so I was driving home from work one day, literally carrying the guilt of I need to be at home with my family, but I also am the breadwinner, so I need to be at work because I'm not serving my clients if I'm at home. And when I'm at work, I'm not serving my family. And my evil twin sat up on my shoulder and she's like, you could sneak out of bed when everybody goes to sleep and just go back to the office and there's no shame and no guilt. You're not hurting anybody. And that's how it started. And so everybody in my house sleeps dead. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. I won't park my car in the garage so nobody will hear the garage door go up. I'll just leave it in the driveway. And I'll go through the laundry room and turn off the little chimer. And when everybody goes to bed, I'll sneak out of bed and I'll go to my office. And I started doing that, and it started a horrible, horrible habit of leaving my house at night to go to work. And this went on for a long time, like months. And I thought, gosh, this is great. My family's sleeping and I'm not taking anything away. My clients are being served. And I had a police officer that lived 3 doors down, and I had sold him his house. And he worked the night shift. So he would come by and shine his light in my window, and I would just give him a thumbs up. I'd be in my pajamas, mind you, working, and I'd give him a thumbs up and he would drive on. So I felt safe. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. So one day my husband and my son were playing ball in the front yard. And our friend, the police officer, stopped and told my husband, man, your wife works a lot of hours and not just here at home. And my husband's like, oh, do tell. Busted. And so that day I was going to come home, turn off the chimer, and I was going to go back to work. And that didn't happen. My husband had a come to Jesus meeting with me, and he just said, you have 30 days to fix it or else. And as a believer, I hit my knees, and I met someone who was in a coaching program. And that story is in my book, but I won't go into details. And so he said there was an event coming up, and I said, sign me up. Honestly, in my heart of hearts, not knowing if the credit card would go through, I had to take a chance. I had to fix my marriage, and I felt like that was the answer to the prayer. And I went to that event, and everybody I met, I said, I'm here to get time management tips. I just don't know how to get all this business done. I have all this business, and I just need time management tips. And
so you were going for like the logic.
Time. Oh, yeah. I
like,
had
give
no
me the
idea.
strategy. Give me the framework. Give me the do this, not this thing. Like
Give
I
me
need
a checklist.
Checklist.
I just need a checklist of how to get more done. Is there an app? Is there a person I can hire? Like, I think I can still do all this business the way I'm doing it. Just give me a checklist. And so this conference was over, and I couldn't sign up for coaching. It was so expensive. And I was like, I just don't know if I can afford it. And I met my mentor, who I just told you I was sitting in your parking lot talking to. And she said, listen, you need this. And so I went to the room and I called my husband, and he said, you can't afford to do it and you can't afford not to. We'll figure it out. And I was like, okay. Again, we still think it's a time situation. So I get into coaching the first 30 days, I do my interview, and they're like, so where are your leads coming from? I'm like, I don't know. They just come. And what are your marketing sources? Well, I have all these things. And they're like, oh, okay. And well, what's your P&L? I'm like, what is a P&L? I literally didn't know what P&L stood for at that time. I'm just burning and churning. Selling 200 houses, don't really know. So my first homework assignment was to record all my leads for 30 days and send a report in. And I have to tell you, the truth of the matter was not one person said, I'm calling you from a billboard. I'm calling you from a shopping cart. I'm calling you because you put a mailer in my mailbox. It was, you sold my mother's house and you were so gracious. You sold my boss's house. You helped my coworker find a house. Everything was 100% referred on that list, and I had no idea. So I sent that in, and they're like, yeah, just what we thought. You don't have a time management issue. You have a money issue. And you talk about bringing you to your knees. I mean, you've got a kid in private school. You're driving a 430S Mercedes. You have the marriage that everybody wants. So I thought, big house. It's a big fat lie. And so that coaching experience changed my life forever. And so that's why I do what I do. If one person can step into your life and say, hey, what you think is the problem from the outside, looking in, it's not. And it can really make somebody's life 100% better, because I believe my life is 100% better, then that's what I want to spend the rest of my days doing. I tell my students, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. And that's why I coach.
It's it must have been very tough to get that news.
Oh, it was crushing, because the first conversation I had to have after that was with my husband, who knew that I had this amazing business, and he was so proud of me and had no idea that we were one bad month away from bankruptcy. And so you have to go home and humble yourself and tell them. And you don't know in that moment, or I should have known because I know my husband, but you don't know. Are they going to say, we're going to figure it out? Are they going to say, I'm out, you figure it out? I believe in you, or you just don't know. And
is there anger? Is it like, and I told you so, and you never, listened, and it got this bad, and now, I can't, like, at that time, how long were you married for when that moment happened?
That was in 2005. We got married in 96, so, not quite 10 years yet, and we had our son in 98. So, we're sitting here looking at a 6 or 7 year old child that I'm responsible for. And not only have I let my husband down, I'm letting my son down.
Wow.
And so it's kind of one of those things that you don't know what you don't know. And so I'm a firm believer in, when you're in a room and somebody says, do you have a question? You should always have a question. Like, if I'm the smartest person in that room, I am in the wrong room to this day. And you and I were at an event last night. I went there to learn and not to be seen. We talked about some of the speakers, and I just think that we have to continue to grow and humble ourselves to learn, or, why are we going to stop growing? I'm much older than you, Jim, but I still have a coach, and I'm still learning, and I'm still reading books, and I don't want to stop that.
Now, it's, it's amazing how important you noticed your marriage was to the piece of this puzzle for everything to be a success, your life to be a success.
Right.
And your kids, and you were telling me about your son and your daughter, right, earlier, and I could see your passion and you're gleaming and as you were saying this, and I wonder, at what point does your husband suffer, your kids suffer, and then your wallet suffers if you didn't make those changes and those choices,
right?
And it's those hard choices in the moment, those choices that you're being pulled this way, but you decide to cut it off or put a stop to it and try to observe and navigate a different way. It's admirable, to say the least.
I wasn't a great student. When we first started, I'm like, you don't understand. I can't stop going this way and pivot to your way, because the money has to keep coming, right? And that's the devil. That is so the devil attacking us, saying, you can't, because truly you can. And so what my coach at the time said, we'll do one thing at a time. Let's just adopt the lead tracker. Let's start learning really where your leads are coming from, which was my first assignment. Brilliant, right? Because then we could go to the second step, was we have to eliminate some of these expenses that aren't warranting the leads that you think are coming in. And so we fixed 2 issues pretty quick, but it was just one step at a time. And so once I figured out I could do one thing, then I was like, oh, I can do the next thing, and then the next thing, and to follow that was hiring the right team, who to hire, when to hire, how to train them, how to pay them, how to set them up for success, because I'd had a revolving door with that too. Nobody handed me a manual when I got into real estate that said, this is how you generate leads, and this is how you track them, and conversion is necessary, and this is your budget. None of that came with my license, right? And so it's trial and error. If you don't get on a team with someone, or you don't hire a coach early on, I mean, it can snowball out of control really quickly without having the right people and the right tools. So those of you that are listening, if you're like, I can't stop going in the direction I'm going, or I'm really struggling, just to make one small change at a time and adopt that and then go to the next one and the next one, you can really change. But you have to surrender to a new process that you know works better than what you're doing, and that's really hard.
Sounds like there's a lot of pressure, and you're holding a lot, and you're navigating something new, right? And I think those moments are the toughest, to have that faith, or that blind faith, to say, okay, I know this isn't working, but I don't know if this will.
That's right.
And now I have to realize that this isn't, and try something new that I'm not sure. Like, it's not proven. I haven't done it before. I haven't walked that walk. I haven't navigated that path. Like, those are very interesting, pivotal points where you have to make a decision. You have to just continue forward with it. And you talked about like the opposition and the devil and the wavering of like, those things are going to come at you when you're trying to walk that path that you may feel called to, you may feel is the right path, but it's still tough to do it in the moment.
Yeah, because, I say to people, you don't know what you don't know. And I knew I could look around the room and see there were a lot of millionaires in that room that worked this system. So I'm like, it works for them. It might not work in my market, or it might not work for me. And again, that's the fear of the unknown. But man, if you can move past the fear into the success and the expansion and the changes that it brought, the uncomfortable and the discomfort only lasts for a short time. The success that you get from that uncomfortableness can last forever. And that was the change of my career in real estate. Like, that was the pivotal moment that took me over, 360 sales a year, just 1 year at a time, getting a little better, one new tactic, cut one expense, make one hire. It's just one thing at a time, but it compounds over time to build the dream or the business that you really want. And I think that the uncomfortableness is where we quit. And I say all the time, don't quit on your dreams. You may just be one step or one system away from what you truly desire. Don't quit.
I'm with you. That's someone for me, right? That one person, like that one person that pushes you that 1% when you're 50-50 on, do I go hinder and go back and live in a life of fear and timidness, or do I brave the strong storm and run into it? And because I know it's what I need, I know it's in me, I know I can succeed. I want to go back for a second to the situation where you're talking about with the lead tracker and the data, and then moving to the marketing and reduction of expenses and all that stuff. Something that I often fall back into, and I'm not perfect, I'm not the best at this, and I'm a very emotional person. I know that about myself, but you went to the data instead of leaning into what you felt or the emotion or the feelings. How did that feel, kind of crossing over from like, well, all this marketing stuff's working, this is what I feel like, to looking at a piece of paper and being like, none of these deals came from that.
Yeah.
Like, talk me through that moment, like what emotions came up, like what that felt like.
Like I was a fraud. Like I was
Wow.
fake. I was phony. I'm spending all this money, and people were coming in my office saying, oh my gosh, you're so busy, it must be coming off the billboard. I'm like, absolutely it is. Absolutely, the moving truck is absolutely right. I was so just adamant about, I thought I had the perfect business plan, and that other people were following me because I was following other people, right? And when I had to be faced with the truth, I felt just broken, that I didn't use data, or I didn't use the facts, and that I was led astray. But I'm a strong person. You said that earlier, like, you're pretty smart. Like, so I had to assume the responsibility that, yes, I'm a fraud. Yes, I don't have all my crap figured out. And I'm going to take the mask off and I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to change. And then I'm going to share this testimony for others who might be in the same place. But yeah, it was very humbling, first to start with my family that, hey, this is not right. And then, in your circles, like the billboard comes down, everybody's like, oh, she's broke, she's bankrupt. And I'm thinking, I am, but I'm not going to disclose that right now. But people judgment. And so I went into that, oh my gosh, I'm being judged. And, competition is fierce and people are going to come at you in your weakest moments. And I can just say back to the community, you and I have a lot in common when we think about the people we surround ourselves with. But the right people will surround you and say, you know what, you're going to be better for this. It's all out now. There's no lies. There's, the writing's on the wall. You're done with the billboard. You're done with the moving truck. I mean, the day it pulled out of the parking lot of my office, I cried. I'm like, oh my God, my identity in this moving truck is leaving. And you know what? Nobody called me after that and said, I can't list with you because you don't have a moving truck. Right? I mean, but that's, again, the things that we put in our head and this false reality that we sell ourselves as we're doing all these things and it's making me famous or making me popular or making me rich. After that, Jim, it didn't matter if my name was on the marquee as the top person. It didn't matter to me if I was number one. I just wanted to be real, authentic me. And I wanted to build a business that I was proud of and that other people would want to follow because they knew what they were going to get. What they saw is what they got. And so from that time in my life, I feel like if you talk to 100 people that know me, they're like, oh, she's raw, she's real, she shares a lot of pain, she cries. I mean, she'll pray with me, but that's what I want to be, I want to be reminded of or remembered of versus, oh my gosh, she was on the billboard.
That's your true, honest, real legacy of how you show up and how you want to be perceived and how you want to impact and influence in a positive way to others.
Yeah.
It sounds like there might have been some ego.
Oh, are you kidding? It was as big as Texas. I mean, I moved to Nashville to go to law school and became a receptionist at 18 years old in a real estate office. Dobson & Johnson on Belmead Boulevard. In Belmead, right on West End, whatever it is. And and so from there to go from receptionist to top salesperson, I wanted to run with the big dogs. I mean, I'll tell a quick funny story. I was with a brokerage that had an incentive trip. And the number one agent in that company I admired so much. She's still a huge, wonderful human in this town. And the first year I won the trip, we had to pick our roommates or whatever. And I called her out of the blue and said, I have been following you and implementing everything that you do. And will you be my roommate on this trip? She knew my name, but we didn't really know each other. And there was probably a 25-year, maybe 30-year age gap. And she's like, sure. And so I got to room with the number one agent because I humbled myself enough to say, I don't have all the answers. Can I hang out with you? And I just think that those kind of moments remove the ego because when I met her, she had none. She had none. She had been doing it so long. She had stockpiled her cash. She had a rental portfolio. She just is the epitome of class. And I was like, why do you need to be this bigger than life, ego, look at me kind of person when you can do more like her and run under the radar? And so, yes, my ego has got me in a lot of trouble hiring. Ego gets us in trouble when we hire and then we do the job of the person we hired because they can't do it as good as us. And they leave and you have a revolving door and you're like, oh my God, these people don't want to work. Oh my gosh, these people suck. It's like, no, turn the mirror on yourself. The problem is you. I learned that so many times through my career, right? And then, hiding behind the mask, everything's fine. If you read my book, I hate that saying. I'm not fine. Not everything is fine. I'll never be fine. I always need to be a little better. I'm always working on being better. But those egos that rear their ugly head keep us in a state of not depression, but, we stay depressed or suppressed to where we can't grow and we think we have it all figured out when there's so much more to learn.
It's, and that moment where you made those changes, where you started looking at the data, where you started managing your cash, understanding your financials, working a P&L, it's almost like that's where the ego that broke.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. When you're broke and have no money and you're broken because you've lived a lie, you have to let all of that ego go and you have to go back to zero. And then you have to build not only credibility with the people that you've hurt, but also credibility with yourself. Like, you know what? I don't have to live that lie anymore. It's all out in the open with the people that you care the most about. And you can let that down and you can change. And facts don't lie. I tell people data doesn't lie, whether you're listing your house or running a business or looking at your P&L or your bank statement.
In that moment, would you say that was very freeing for you?
Yes, after I got over the guilt and the shame. Then I was able, and I'm a spiritual person. The hardest person to forgive is yourself. And so that took me a long time of, accepting myself. The very first chapter in my book is acceptance for a reason. And so once I realized that everybody else had accepted me and forgiven me, it was time for me to forgive myself. So it was very freeing, very freeing.
And that you had mentioned that you had let down or hurt some other people. And how did you navigate that? Like, was that something where you just, all right, I got to make some phone calls. Like, I got to get in front of some people and just be honest and truthful and tell them what's going on? Or was that more of like, all right, let me work on me first. And then, did that happen over time?
A little of both. Yeah. You come clean with the people closest to you first, my family, employees, having hard conversations of, hey, we're not going to be doing this anymore. And everybody's still going to have a job. It's going to be tough, and yes, I had to make amends with some people that I'd let go and tell them that, you know what, it wasn't you, it was me. I know that sounds a little cliche, but there are people that I went back and made amends with. And I'm grateful for that, that I don't carry any of that. I've had some mom guilt and shame for all the hours I worked and things. And my son let me let go of that when he was graduating from grad school. And he honored me with a little trinket. And he said, Mom, I want to give you this ultimate gift. And you taught me 3 things. You taught me how to work hard and it would pay off. And I'm graduating college with no debt. And you taught me how to manage my money. He became part of the process. And we wanted to break that generational curse, so we made him part of the process. And the 3rd thing is he said, you taught me how to love the Lord. And he said, all those things, all those times when you were working, I was watching. And I think at that point, I was like, phew, I'm not going to carry any more guilt and shame about the practices I missed. I didn't miss the important things, but there were times that I would have to miss something. And I carried that for a long time. I'm like, does he think I'm a workaholic? Does he not love me as much because I wasn't there? And when he really said to me, these 3 lessons I learned from you and I treasure, and I was watching, I was like, my job is not done, but I'm satisfied with that answer. And so, yeah, the guilt and shame, even all the way down to your children, you have to forgive yourself, because once you have a conversation with them, they'll forgive you too.
It's the parent guilt.
Oh.
I've felt it, and I've got young kids in this moment. Almost all the parents that I've spoken to about this guilt, this shame, like, they're all torn in between, how much do you work? How much do you not work? What's okay to miss? What's not okay to miss? There's no book on this. There's no, there's 367 baseball practices that you're going to go to from the age of 12 to 18, and you can miss approximately 7.8% before your kid hates you, right?
Yeah.
There is no book on it. Is that something that you would say, just communication with your child, communication with your spouse is the best way to kind of approach those things, right? Because like, let's just be real. You can't be at everything.
Right.
Like there has to be something where it's like, okay, this is a conflict of time or date or travel plans, right? There's a lot of people that travel for work. There's a lot of people that are in those situations. What comes to mind for maybe a parent who's going through that right now?
Yeah, I would say boundaries. Boundaries, I say all the time, are sexy, right? Give yourself permission.
Boundaries are sexy. Let's go.
That comes from my favorite Peloton instructor. But I would say, I've got to work from this time to this time, but then I'm going to be off for this time, spring break or whatever. I think communication is number one. But I think when we start bringing our kids into conversations around, hey, dad can do these things and mom can do these things, or if you're a single parent, only I can do these things, and you bring them into the money conversation. We started doing our budget as a family after we got in trouble, or I got us in trouble, and we never wanted our son to have that issue. And so he would, at a young age, put the tape on the back of the envelopes and put the stamps on it. And we're having money conversations. He's not really understanding it, but he's part of it. And I think the more we communicate with our kids, like, I can work today and I can have Saturday off, or I can go to your practice tonight, but then I'd have to work Saturday. As they get older, you start giving them choices. They're like, oh, mom, you don't need to be at the practice, but don't miss the game. What if I have the home run, right? And so one of the things that I teach my people that I coach in my mastermind is you are proactive versus reactive, especially in sales. So if you can pick a day, let's say Thursday, you go ahead and call all your clients that are looking for a house right now, and set up 1 hour windows with each one of them on Saturday, proactive around the baseball game or the hockey game or the ballerina thing or whatever. Then if a house pops up, the appointment's already set around your schedule, versus if you're sitting at the ball game and the phone rings and they're like, I got to see this house right now. They're putting a sign in the yard. They're going to hold it open. You got to come, blah, blah, blah. And it creates this chaos. Then at that point, I have to make a decision. Do I stay to see if my little guy hits the home run, or do I go show the house that's going to feed the little guy that might hit the home run? And it puts me in a really bad position to choose. So I would tell people, be proactive. Preset some appointments on Saturday or whatever day we're talking about. And if nothing comes on the market, you just text them that morning and say, hey, nothing new came on. I'm going to delete it and we'll regroup next week. You do the same thing next week. You can go through and delete 3 a lot easier than you can be sitting at the park trying to make a decision with anxiety and fear and frustration and all of that. And so that was game changer for me. I started working my schedule around the things that I know I needed to go to, and having better communication with my family of what I couldn't and how I would make it up to them. So I think those are probably 2 ways that you can really structure your life. But yes, you're going to miss some things. And so go ahead and give yourself grace before you do.
That proactiveness, it's like the pill to reduce the stress and the fear, right? And, to get in front of it rather than it happening in the moment and you're making a decision under pressure.
Right.
Like that that never feels good for me. 2, like I always use this strategy of like, okay, I feel this thing or this emotion, let me sleep on it. Like if this is a big decision, do I have to make it right now? In a lot of cases, sometimes you do. Right. But if I can push it to the next morning, can step away from it, separate a little bit, maybe it's an easier decision. Those things in those moments with those boundaries set up, it's like, this is what was communicated. How do you hold to that boundary knowing that you could lose a client still?
Oh, I love this question. I think if you do what you are supposed to do 5 days a week to generate more leads than you can handle, you don't fear losing the one. I find myself, as much as the people that I have coached and still coach, struggle through the week of doing what we need to do. So when the lead does come in, it's like, this is the only thing I got. And so I'm going to break all my rules to myself and all my rules to my family to take care of this one client because it's all I've got, right? It's the scarcity mindset. So, and that was me. for years. I was the one. That was me. But what I realize is if I can really do what I need to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday's my cleanup day. Most of the time I wouldn't have to work on Saturday. If I chose to, great. But I could do a lot of things Monday through Thursday proactively generating leads that would fill my lead tracker so I didn't live in fear of the one deal that might go sideways, right? And it starts helping you to change your your mindset, starts changing your thought process. We have to come from an abundance mindset, and it's abundantly doing what I have to do so I don't create chaos for everybody around me because I'm not doing what I need to do. And I think that, for me personally, when I got into real estate, leaving a paycheck and going into 100% commission, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I think one of the things that's really the hardest for salespeople is the 1099. Nobody tells us what time to come in. Nobody tells us what time to go home. Nobody says make 25 phone calls a day or call until you get 2 leads or, be honest and tell people, hey, I work by appointment only on Saturday and we're closed on Sunday. When we adopted that as a team, my team thought we were all going to be bankrupt. They're like, you're crazy. And once we got it adopted and they got out of scarcity, they loved it. But it's just, listen, if you do the right things, plant the right seeds, you respect your clients, you tell them how it's going to work, they're going to follow you. That's the thing that shocks me about salespeople is we're the one with the license. We're the ones with the experience and the knowledge, yet we give all the power and control to the client who only does this 1 to 3 times a year in their life. And we're like, okay, tell us what house you want to see. Tell us what time you want to go. Tell us what you want to list your house for. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, why do they need us? So yes, for sure. I think that there's so many things that we can do proactively to help us get out of that chaos.
The 1099 agreement, I call it the Nike agreement. Just do it. Like there's no rules. There's typically no guidelines. It's like, just do it. Just do it. I'm a 1099. Just do it. Make it happen. Make the sales. Make the leads. Get the right marketing tools. It's like, no, that's not how it's going to work.
Where do I start? Step 1, please. I'm such a checklist person. I'm very organized and detailed. Like, give me the checklist. I can follow it. But don't tell me just to do it. We don't know what we don't know. So where do you start?
Wow. What a great conversation today, Kendra. Thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you for your vulnerability.